Yeah.
Hello there, everyone. My name is Melinda Molnar, and this is Iridescent.
Hello.
That's all. That's the name she chose for herself. Thank you for being here. This is something that we've been wanting to do for a while. We've been together on the same program for, I don't know, a good 6, 7, 8 months now, and we click really good. And what we're noticing is that our conversations take place more and more in what we'd call the 5D, our fifth dimensional selves, the frequency platforms that we wander in, the way we walk on those paths of the mental beliefs of certain things and how we dissolve them and open up then to this space of wonderful, I'm gonna call it brilliance for the lack of a better word, this clarity and expansion. Yes, so that's the short intro. I'm gonna hand it over to you for your introduction, and we will take this as it goes. This is not a pre-planned mission. It is simply to allow you, the viewers, to see our process of integrating and embodying our highest version of ourselves.
Amen. Yeah, I would agree with that. We met in a class we were taking together, and what I really love about us is that, yeah, nothing is ever pre-planned with us. It's impossible to, because we get together and it's just like we're in complete flow. So what I also love about our conversations is I'm just able to instantly tap into my authenticity and, like, I don't know, what's the words I want to use? There's no limitation to where our ideas can explore and wonder. And I feel like that's why we have such an easy time and fun time with each other, tapping into the 5D, the fifth dimension. There's something else I wanted to add. This happens a lot too. Ideas come.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And then they'll come back. So I'm just going to trust that information will come back when it needs to. But ultimately, I'm just excited to be here and to share what comes through us and to build in community and help each other reach our greatest potential, because we're infinite beings. So there is never a limitation to what is out there in our grasp to manifest, actualize, accomplish. And that's what I love about, that's what I was going to say. I feel like another reason Melinda and I really mesh well together is because we have such a similar intuitive style. And so I feel like you and I are really great at noticing deep energetic patterns, both positive and challenging. And we're able to really go into that and dissect it from a place that isn't not from an attached ego perspective. Like, we're able to really detach and look at different patterns from an objective place and to kind of dive deeper into why those patterns are playing out. And I love us because I feel like we do it in such a great way that is digestible, because our egos can make things feel undigestible or overwhelming. And I feel like we just have that ability to bring it into a softness, into that love vibration, to where it isn't this dense, scary thing. So I'm really excited to see how this manifests and sharing it with others and what comes through. So that's kind of, I don't know if I really introduced myself. I'm an intuitive psychic, and I've been tapped into the Akasha for as long as I can remember, but actively have been working with my abilities since 2020, I would say. And that's a brief introduction about me.
Thank you. Thank you. And you brought up a great point, and I'm going to talk on that, the ease in our style. But I realized I didn't really introduce myself neither. I think you would call that too intuitive. And by now I hesitantly use the word healer, because I believe that there's nothing wrong with any of us. We are simply in the process of finding out about ourselves. So when I use the word intuitive healer, I mean it in a sense as where I stand now and the clarity that emanates from me helps your body, your energetic system to remember that you too are that infinite being. So it's almost like a magnet finding those little shavings of magnet inside you and like, oh yeah, here it is. I can step into that infinite aspect of myself. I remember I too can do whatever I want. And it's not the egoistic whatever I want, go and, make a mess, but whatever I set my mind to, yes, I have the ability to do. For we are, yes, infinite beings. I've had frequency abilities breakthrough. Let me see. Last year, well, I know I've been doing it for years, but last year it was confirmed, actually 2 years ago now, it was confirmed that I receive information from another being's uh, energetic, emotional, or mental limiting beliefs, energetic constructs, and I can help dissolve that. And also, light language, beautiful and very powerful, again, healing technology that came through for me just a few months ago. So, anybody who is out there and you're doubting your abilities or you're looking and say, well, how do I do that? It is simply stepping into your power on a regular basis. This is not something that took a week or 2 weeks. This was a few years of continuous awareness and choosing to be in the center point of ourselves, to be in the present moment, for that's where your creation lies, that's where your life lies. And having integrated it to the point where it is most all the time now. Yes, there's still a little wavering here and there, but nothing like how it was even 6 months ago. So, this
Yeah.
is what we plan to share with you here, and we'll take it as it goes. If you want to add something, Iridescent, but from what you said, what came to me was love.
Yes, love. I feel like you and I really do embody unconditional love. And I would agree with what you said about, stepping into your power, trusting in your intuitive abilities. We're all psychic, we all have intuition. And oftentimes we're just not taught how to use it because that is the key to our liberation and being our free will. We all have free will. And I feel like the 3D old paradigm we were in try to convince us that we have to rely on other people to like help us realize our true power, our true potential, or what we should be doing in this world. And so that's why it can feel really confusing of like, well, why should I trust my information when I'm told that I need to be trusting all these outside sources? So it's really just honoring your own process and allowing yourself to experiment and have fun. And I would say that is definitely the difference because I was always tapped into my intuition and I knew there was something happening there before I really awoke into my awareness, my conscious awareness. And it was like I would have these moments where I got to experience being in this 5D reality, really like just being in my like sovereign being. But I would immediately go the other way quite hard and I would get trapped for long periods of times in these patterns and cycles that would make me just trigger all these self-criticism of like, oh, see, you're crazy, like, you're not special kind of thing. And now it's more so like the opposite, where it's like I'm constantly in a state of just, yeah, that present moment, being in my sovereignty. And then there's just moments where triggers come and they help remind me like this is where the deeper work still needs to happen. This is where some more releasing can still happen, that kind of thing. So we all are always evolving. And as we create more space, it just opens up more opportunities for even deeper rooted layers to come through, constantly peeling back the onion.
Yes,
Yeah.
constantly peeling back the onion. I like what you touched on, that we were taught to believe others. I from drawing from my personal life, and I know a lot of you can relate with that, is, believe your elders because they know it better, and authority knows it better. And school is one of those things where you believe your teachers because, well, they're older, they know it better. And when I think about my abilities coming through, everything that I was taught by mentors, by different courses, it was already in my system and I already knew. It was simply a confirmation because in the past I didn't believe that for the very fact of, well, others haven't told me yet. Others haven't checked off the mark that, yes, you know how to do this. And that brings in a very important part, trust, trusting
Mm.
yourself. That is really what is not, the words may be used here and there, trust yourself, the expression trust the process is something that's in our culture now more and more. But what's behind it? Do a lot of people know what trust the process means? Or you just say that? Because trusting yourself, trusting whatever it is that comes through you, does not need validation by anybody else.
Nope.
It is your unique expression. It is your spirit coming through with your unique blueprint, with your unique message into the world. And we are stepping into the time where the embodying of this, the breaking out from those masculine limiting frames, which I'm not saying that in a negative form. There is a need for that also. It is simply we've had it too much to where it started to squeeze the walls and oppress. So the feminine expression of wandering, creating, dreaming was discouraged or often written off as not as important, as crazy, as witchy, as whatever other negative words that can be put on it. And we're coming into a time where, no, this is really truly who we are, each and every one of us. And when you trust it in yourself and you step into that and you live into that, it becomes this physical embodiment of wonder, I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
And as you recognize that in yourself, you recognize it in others. As you respect that in yourself, you respect it in others. As you allow it to come through you, you allow it to come through in others. So the world becomes this wondrous place where you see, okay, I'm going to step out of my place today. And how does somebody else show up in this world, express in this world? And that then becomes quite a bit of beautiful container to live in, and life on this earth becomes heaven on earth.
Yeah, that's what's coming to mind for me too. And it also, yes, I agree with all of that. And what it brought up for me was uh competition, right? Like I think so from my understanding, us as a collective, we just exited the age of Pisces, which kind of was this age where we went into that imbalance of the over masculine energy, the patriarchy having to go through their initiation of everything that we've been through as a society and a collective. But where I feel like we're stepping into now in the age of Aquarius, which is all about like enlightenment, inspiration, creating new pathways. It's like truly a great zodiac sign for this like 5D dimension that we're entering into as a collective. And we're getting that balance of femininity back. So we're stepping into the divine feminine, reviving the goddess. So we're finding, and we're kind of seeing this now where women are coming together more so than ever. And it's calling into need for those who are aware in their masculine emanation in the physical form to step into their divine masculine to bring healing and balance to, this cycle we've been in of just like too much emphasis on masculine energy. And it's created a lot of competition, a lot of separation, a lot of division. Um, and one of the things that I think is beautiful and something, especially for 2023, the word that's been coming through for me the most is collaboration and co creation. And I've already seen it manifesting in my world where colleagues of mine are coming in being like, let's do this together. Let's throw this class together. Let's do this. Me and Melinda now are collaborating. And I feel like this is an energy that's going to be prevalent for a lot of people. And I think it's beautiful because I feel like we're stepping out of this era of like everything has to be a competition and you need to stand out and you need to have all these skills and you need to like show that you are valuable as a person and a worker. And now we're stepping into no, no, no. Why are we all trying to fit into these boxes that none of us even want to be doing? And now I'm finding like for me, especially, I used to live out of fear of like, oh, this is what society tells me I need to do to be successful, safe, good, thriving, be able to survive. And I was really in that programming for a long time. And now I find it like, it's just not an option. Like my soul won't let me. Like the words have been told to me, there's no going back. And I don't want to go back, but my ego gets afraid sometimes and it tries to convince itself it wants to go backwards. And so I feel like the part of this reason is because we're all starting to kind of realize it, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, like no, there's something that I want to do. And I think people are starting to realize too, especially in COVID, having to be indoors, there's a lot of isolation, a lot of time for reflection. And I think more and more people are starting to realize that money, abundance isn't a physical asset, it's an energy, it's within us. So more and more people are starting to realize no, we're all unique people. No one is the same. We all have our unique fingerprints and our own unique spiritual fingerprints. There's enough opportunities. Like we are creators, all of us. So even if that opportunity doesn't exist now, we can create that opportunity. And I feel like more and more people are kind of starting to wake up to, oh, I actually have the ability to do this thing. There doesn't have to be competition. There's enough resources for everyone. I can be a tarot reader and Melinda can be a tarot reader and we can both have success and we don't have to compete. Like I just feel like there's this unification of like, we don't have to fight against each other. We can just come together and build upon each other's successes and see how far we can really like expand and flourish. And when you get into that energy and everything stops feeling like a mad race to like prove yourself, you just feel such a weight lifted off. There's such a freedom. And it's like, cool. Like you wake up every day truly going, what do I want to create today for myself? What do I want to create today for the world? And it's just like such a more beautiful energy to be in than like, oh, I need to go to school and get all these degrees and accomplishments and impressive internships to work for someone else's success and only get a very small sliver of that success and still not even feel like I'm doing what I want to do. So I think that's a really beautiful time, though it is this change, I feel like is shaking up a lot for people. It is making people have to trust that these new ways of operating are actually authentic because the programming tries to tell us, what are you doing? You're not following the system. Something's wrong. And it's like, no, everything's perfect. I don't usually wear headphones
Notice
and
the
I'm a
energy
very
that came out there. And even you even disrupted it. The camera moved, the sound moved. Like, yes, we are disrupting that old system. And it's not even disrupting maybe in the sense of the old way, but it's simply we're coming in new. We're pushing out the old. We're coming in peace. Oh, I agree with everything you said. This is so awesome. This is why, then the energy just keeps rising because as you were speaking, it felt like my whole body, my system was acknowledged. And I feel these internal sensations of yes, yes, like little energy bubbles, just like psh.
yeah, yeah.
And when you can stand in that space and feel comfortable in it, right? That I can be myself and hear words of acknowledgement. Well, I think to me, that feels so much greater than when one person, a boss says, you did a good job. Now repeat it next month.
Yeah, I remember. So before I left before I started doing my own business stuff, I worked full time at Trader Joe's, and my boss was awesome. He was so supportive. I worked during all of COVID, like the thick of COVID when we were in what was it, quarantine and all that kind of stuff. So he did a great job holding space for people, being patient, like letting people have their process from, everyone was so shaken up by that time. And also, like, he's a human, so he wasn't a perfect boss. And I remember like we would have a what is it called, a review, like a work, like a how you're doing review every 6 months. And as long as you weren't, messing up too bad, you got your raise. And for me, I found that like Chad would have to like find things to tell me to improve on, just to like give me something to work on at work. So he'd be like, I don't know, it was always like the silliest stuff. I'd be like, but what? Let me try and think of an example. He'd be like, and this is kind of an exaggeration, but it would be something silly like this. He'd be like, you could like probably organize the cans a little straighter. Like, just really having to like search for something to tell me to improve on. And it was just like, I don't know. Though I loved, like, I had a family there, like, we all had a good relationship working together at Trader Joe's, but it was just like, it just wasn't my highest fulfillment. I knew that like my innate talents weren't being expressed to their fullest potential at Trader Joe's, even though it was a good company, had good benefits, everything was secure. I was miserable there. I was so miserable because that wasn't where I was supposed to be. It was in that moment. I had important lessons to learn through working at that job, but the I wasn't meant to stay at Trader Joe's forever. I wasn't meant to have to make cans look a little bit straighter to please my boss. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not why I was born onto this planet.
Yes. And within that message, it's not, like I said, it's not necessarily working at Trader Joe's or making cans straighter, but in that message is when you do something for somebody else, not out of your own guidance, when you spend time on things that don't necessarily matter, or maybe matter to for a momentary um, ecstatic pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the value in it, right? When you do something from yourself, from the messages of your higher self, that is you. That everything that you do is you. The words as they leave your lips, the light as it comes out of your eyes, your hand gesture movements, and when you are in that alignment, that is when you create magic. That is when you change others' lives simply by being you, because you are there to show up for yourself and you're standing in your sovereignty, in your truth. And that yells messages louder and further than a row of straight cans.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like it really like helps you tap into confidence. Like, though there's still like the unknown. So trusting in the unknown is hard because it feels scary and you don't know what's going to happen. And our egos want to know what's going to happen. Um, so it's hard, but like when you're showing up in that way, when you're fully in your sovereignty, I feel like, at least for me, it's been this way where it's like, even when I've had the most like physical fear come up, like just really intense, where I'm like, oh, I don't know, I'm really freaking out. Because I am showing up in this authentic space, there's always something that comes over me that goes like, it's okay that you're afraid, but like this is exactly where we need to be and everything's going to work out. And there's no logical proof I can give myself to confirm that, but it always works out because I'm honoring myself. And it's like kind of cool in its own way, because it's like, I don't know. For me, it helps me foster a deeper level of trust with myself, because my ego doesn't want to trust me. It goes, oh my God, we need to be in control. We need to be able to do something that feels like we're in control and safe. And then the more that I just trust myself that things will always work out like they have been, and that happens, it's like a deeper confirmation of like, okay, cool, everything's working out. And even in situations where maybe it's not as smooth, or there's some lessons within that, some challenges, some resistance, some slowing down, some obstacles, it's still like, even through those now, it's a much calmer sense of like, this is showing me something bigger. This is showing me where more growth can be had, where I might still be having some deep, like patterned subconscious beliefs or something of that nature. So it's like, what used to just feel like challenges to me in the past used to just feel like I was being punished, that I did something wrong, that it was a confirmation of all of my fears and self-criticisms. And it felt like a I don't want to say a death sentence, that's a little dark, but it felt like a contract. Like this was something that was just going to stick with me until I either figure out or fail in figuring it out. And I remember challenges used to stress me out so much. And I'm not going to say that I don't feel stress anymore. I certainly do. But the difference is like there's a peace with it. There's like an inner knowing of like we can truly overcome anything. And I truly believe that we're not given anything that we can't handle, even if it feels overwhelming. So it just, I don't know, now I'm getting off on a tangent. Wrapping it up, I just feel like the deeper we go in trusting ourselves, the more risk that we're able to take, because we just trust in our ability to get through anything.
Yes, we're back. Where were we? That was 2 minutes ago.
I know. 2 minutes and we're already into next year.
Okay. Yes, I know the challenges. Challenges people have had, because we've had plenty, and especially last year. We were, as a collective, going through huge releases that shook a lot of people's worlds, and we're coming out of it. And now we're entering this new era of abundance, of gold, of sparkles and clarity. And it's interesting. Part of me wants to address the releasing the patterns, and other part of me wants to say, but that's getting into the old. That is something that does not take as much effort as it used to be. It can done very quickly. And the more time that you spend in what I call the brilliance, the gold, that clear space, the higher frequency platforms, you kind of shed those patterns much quicker. Now, what I'm being told by the unseen me is to touch on the patterns, because there are a lot of people who are actually just coming to this, and like earlier you said, the mind, the ego wants to hold you in a certain place, and it is scary to jump off into the unknown. I remember when we were going through that space, and we had a lot of conversations at that time, and it took many tries. We would be what I would call the wobble, where we would like lift in elevation, in frequency, and then fall back down. And it's not necessarily a levels as in up and down, but it's raising your frequency level. And at that space, what's available to you, that's the space where it's available to you that things will be okay. I am working towards greater steps. The messages are coming in. To when you constrict and your frequency drops, at that level, that information just simply isn't available. You're more into the, to say, in that forgetfulness, where you're like, okay, I know I don't feel good. What happened? How am I going to pay rent? How am I going to do this? And then the constrictions happen more. And your ego is there for you wonderfully to tell you, you see, there's something wrong. You got to do this and this and this and this to pull you out of it. But that remembrance that you have from being in the higher platforms, the remembrance that's like seeping through your system from your spirit, that helped to awaken you to begin with. That remembrance is there saying, wait a minute, I know this could be different. I remember it. Let me see. Let me get back to that space.
Yeah.
And that's when you center yourself. That's when you take that centering breath. Because really, all it takes, you can do it in one breath.
Yeah.
In one breath. Let's do that right now. Like, any of you out there who care to do that, that as you take that one breath and hold it for a couple of seconds, and in that space of holding for a couple of seconds, and you can become aware of your heart space, your solar plexus, and if you can envision or perceive that everything in your body, in your physical body, and I'm still holding that space. This is still from one breath. Okay, now there's an exhale. Okay. So in that one breath, you bring your awareness of yourself into your center. So if you can imagine all of your physicality being focused in your awareness, in your heart, in your solar plexus, and you can bring it down to your root area, your central channel. And in the next breath, yes, with time you get used to this and it happens in one breath. So in your next breath, as you're holding your awareness in your central channel, perceive, imagine, feel, sense that your soul also comes into your center. And your soul is your mind, your emotions, your feelings, your personality, if you will, your free will. All that together with your physical body is right here in your central channel. And then, however this is available to you, if you can imagine that your spirit also, your spirit body is about arm's length around you, is also converging in your center. So your physical, your soul, your spirit, all of you in one place and space, in this physical space and in this moment in time. And right there, as you align, you just raise your frequency. Now you can initiate it further and ask yourself questions like, what does it feel like to embody my spirit? Almost like that nudging question to your spirit. It indicates an awareness that you are aware that you have a spirit self. And it's a straight communication to your spirit that is being recognized. And it's almost, it is an immediate, like, yes, here I am. And just notice how that feels. Because for a lot of us, that shows as a physical sensation.
Yeah, for me it's like I feel like I can feel all of the cells in my body vibrating really fast.
Yes.
Like okay, you know when you're like in a really powerful massage chair and it's just like shaking your whole body? It's like that, but without my physical body physically shaking. It's like all my cells are vibrating really fast like that. And it almost tickles for me. Like it almost feels like spirit, whatever you want to call divine energy, it's just like tickle, tickle, tickle.
Yeah. For me, it becomes, yes, like my whole body starts to vibrate more. And also internally, I feel my channel like it spins faster.
Ooh, that's fun.
Oh,
I don't feel
that's
that
really fun.
sensation. Yeah, I like
That's
that.
fun.
Electricity. So that it'll feel like my aura is literally made of electricity too sometimes. Like if
Yes.
I'm really hitting the high frequencies, like I've shocked Eliza before. Eliza is my cat. She's not around right now. I would show her. But we'll like shock each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and electronic mishaps happen many
Oh,
times.
all the
Yeah.
time, all the time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's something I just have to accept now, like that. Which shungite and orgonite can help with that, because I forget that a lot of times too. I wear moldavite's my favorite crystal, and it's actually a tektite, which just means it's from a meteor, so it's not even from Earth, it's from outer space. And anyways, it's an incredibly high vibrational frequency, like energy, and it constantly messes up electronics.
Mhm.
So if you have, and this isn't just moldavite, it can be anything, even yourself. If you are really vibing in a high frequency, technology can't really keep up with that a lot of the time. So orgonite is good to have near it, or shungite. It also protects you from EMF radiation. Is it EMF waves? So for anyone who also experiences a lot of technical difficulties, I recommend getting those two crystals, keeping it near your electronics, and see if that helps.
We're going to put that into the description below, in
I can
case.
send some trusted sites you can go get some too.
Yeah, we can. Yes, we'll put those in the descriptions. You know what comes in here momentarily, really, the that connection with your body when you feel the sensation. That since light language came in for me, and light language is something I had no idea about even 6 months ago. It slowly I started to receive just little informations momentary here and there, and then when it break through, I don't want to say I didn't know what happened to me, because it was communicated pretty clearly what happened to me. But light language is cosmic communication, and it goes directly through your energies and into your DNA. It talks to your soul. So your mind does not have to translate it. It really literally bypasses your mind, so it doesn't get caught up into the beliefs, misbeliefs, and what could be, what could not be. So it's very powerful.
Yeah.
And when that comes through me, my heartbeat rises. And this, how do I, so with the vibration of like all my cells, it's not just vibrating, but it becomes this communicative quality of my physical self and the unseen parts of myself, that by now it's all one. It's not separate. It's right here with me at all times. All of me is right here. It becomes this channel of very strong connection. And when I walk in that, how do I explain that in words? It is like I am walking on this third dimensional field, but internally in a different dimension. And that's where it is when we're internally in our fifth dimension. So the information that becomes available is a lot more vast. And those limitations that we've had in the third dimension, it simply doesn't exist anymore. Because there is a knowing that those are misbeliefs, those are filters. It does not exist. So walking in the world like that is, well, coming back to heaven on earth. And it's not to say that for everybody this needs to come in. I'm saying for me, this is how it is. And it is a language that we all have. We all, that's our first language. It's the communication that comes in from our light body, and or through our light bodies. And what else did I want to say in there? I think it's when your channel becomes clear enough and when you hold enough grounding, that's when it can come in, because it is very powerful. I don't even think that it could come in for people who are not holding the grounding for it. It probably would knock you off of your center. Like,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
actually, I don't know how that would go because I haven't experienced it, but I do notice it that a very mm, dedicated and conscious grounding is
Yeah.
needed for that.
Yeah. 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 What comes up for me is like I myself, I feel like I've been blessed where my awakening has been very like naturally integrated, I guess. Like the evolution journey gets hard for everybody. Like there are definitely, I mean, I've gone through some really intense dark nights of the soul, but what I mean by that, I guess, is the progress of my awakening happened in sequential order, where it didn't feel like, for the most part, that my spirit body like went through it at a rapid race, and then like my physical had to catch up. Because I have heard of that happening, where people have sudden awakenings that maybe they, again, my belief is we're never given anything we can't handle, but I feel for some people they do go through something that is like a rapid awakening, where the soul spirit body kind of gets like knocked out. I think for me what was coming up is in different shamanistic or different shaman practices, they call it soul retrieval. uh and your soul body can get disconnected for multiple reasons. You can go through a really traumatic event. You can even, it can happen as subtly as you come back too fast from meditation, not like grounding enough. But anyways, I feel like sometimes when we go through a rapid awakening, it can feel like um, startling and jarring, because you went from being completely non-awareness of this other higher reality, higher dimensions, and now you're fully in the experience, and there's like no denying it. And oftentimes when this happens, you don't have anyone around you to kind of like be like, hey, what is happening? Or at least that was my journey, my experience. And so where am I going with this?
That the grounding, that for you it happens sequentially.
Yeah, there's getting back to the main meat and potatoes, I guess. How do we this happens from time to time. This happens
How did
sometimes too.
we get there? We started on that pathway, and it's like, oh, we're in the jungle a little bit.
And you know what? This is the process, right? Like you get information, and sometimes you're like, I know exactly where this is going. And then you get into it and you're like, and where is it going now? So, anyways, I don't know where I was originally going with that. I do think it's sometimes we have to like call our power back in. So, when we're going through this journey, it's like integrating all levels back into union. So, I don't know. I'm going to move on from this because I feel like I'm not able to talk about what's trying to come through. But something that did get brought up to me when you were talking about challenges and things of that nature is you were saying you were talking about the releasing, but there's like a resistance there because you didn't. There was like a energy of not wanting to focus on the past. And what came through for me when you were saying that, and you picked up on it intuitively too, is I feel like there will be people that listen to this episode today, and maybe they're really new on their awakening journey and they're just starting the releasing process. And like, I'm glad you went really deep into it, and I feel like you gave really great gold nuggets there. But it's like, how do you start that process when you're first starting to release and things like that? Like me and you went through a whole like 6 month long course to learn how to like naturally do that, get through the wobble. And that was another thing when you were talking about the wobble. What I got was like, when a toddler is learning to walk for the first time, it's like, okay, he or she might be able to like stand up for a minute or two, and then they fall down. And then the next time they do it, they can maybe take like a really shaky step and they'll fall down, but then the next time they can take that step and stay up for a little bit. I feel like it's like that when you're first starting. It's like you're learning this new way of perceiving information, understanding what's coming through your system, probably receiving sensations, informations like that you've never experienced before. So patience is the big key there, trusting again. And what also came through when you were talking about asking questions, because for me that has been the biggest blessing for me, and learning how to release organically and in flow, is the game Clue came up. It's like when these challenging emotions or thoughts or whatever come through, it's like, okay, uh who was murdered in the kitchen? Was it Colonel Mustard? But in this case it would be like, what's causing the sadness? Is it this memory from when I was a child? And it's like you get to turn it into like this fun game of like investigation and mystery. And it's not about like, oh, I'm feeling these heavy emotions, I'm broken. It's like, no, these heavy emotions are here because that is where you find the liberation. is in those resisting emotions, because that's where you're going to find that subconscious or rooted belief. So I just kind of wanted to add those gold nuggets in there. I feel like everything else you said was really good in like describing different like processes of that, of letting go, releasing. And I like that you did like a little mini guided meditation there of like learning how to tap into the body, learning how to come into center. Breathing is really good because a lot of times when we're feeling triggered, it's beyond just the emotional reaction, it's physical too. So like for me, when I was first awakening, I was navigating so much anxiety, so much depression, lots of dissociation where I couldn't even feel my body or be connected. And so it's like a lot of times when you're first starting this, it can be hard to release because you're having to learn how to stay present in the physical discomfort of releasing. And so breathing is going to be great because it's your nervous system that's being activated and that's holding on to those memories, those physical memories. So the more that we can tap into that vagus nerve, come into center physically, we're not feeling overwhelmed by all of these chemicals and like fight or flight and freeze responses our body is trying to send us because it feels like it's dying and in survival. And then you have like a really nice baseline to really dive deeper into the emotions. So if you're someone who's first starting and it's overwhelming because you can't even focus on the emotional aspect because there's just so much physical discomfort, focus first on calming that physical discomfort. And I think you'll have a really big breakthrough in knowing how to navigate the emotional aspects that come with that.
Thank you for that. And as you were talking a few times, you were saying when you're starting and when you're starting. And what came to me was that then it is possible that we're attracting a lot of people who are starting on this journey and also who've been in it for some time.
Yeah, I feel like it's
And
the both ands. Like I feel like
yes,
we'll have people who are kind of at this, there's no levels to it. Like we're
this,
all on our own journey and our own timelines. But I just, it's the easiest way to kind of like decipher like someone who maybe has more confidence and understanding their different inputs and outputs of their thoughts and emotions and physicality and what that means and understanding their constellation, and maybe has more of a foundation of what different terms mean, different theories and like spiritual concepts, like you know, that kind of thing. We're all like in our divine timing. But for maybe someone who doesn't really know anything about spirituality, is starting to wake up to this information for the first time, where they're just like, oh, there's so much out here, what do we do? Like I feel like we have a nice spectrum of everyone on this journey. So yeah, welcome. Thanks for being here.
yes, welcome. Thanks for being here. And that prompts me too that maybe we'll put on a course for the very beginners.
Yeah,
Yes, because
yeah.
there's a lot in that. And to touch on this, whoever you are in your awakening, whatever we have gone through, like you said, the 6 months, well, that was just one part. You know,
Oh,
it didn't take 6 months. It's been years. Is going to be different now because the field is so much more open. There's so much more of us who've awakened and walking on these higher grounds. The words are flowing into the culture more and more, and it is much faster. So, what took me 5 years may take somebody 5 months now.
yep.
It is that fast. And so, to outline just a few points, yes, connecting to the body. Yes, that's a very important. I was going to say that a lot of spiritual practices in the past would take you out of the body, right? It was psychedelics or well, mainly with psychedelics, or even if you listen to certain like binaural beats. There's nothing
Mm-hmm.
wrong with binaural beats. Binaural beats is awesome, but we would do this by getting out of the body, right? Going into these fields that where we disconnect from the body.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said too, when that happens and you come back fast, whether you come back fast or slow, you may not come back exactly in alignment with your physical body. And this is something that I've experienced for many, many months, because during the night I would go travel, astro travel. A lot of us do that. And once I became aware that I must come back aligned into my body, because we walk in this physical body right here. So if you imagine, I don't have anything here. So if you imagine an axis and then the sphere around it, if the axis does not come back exactly but a little bit off, then your sphere is off, meaning your physical body and the communication with and to your physical body will be slightly off. So you'll be off in time. And an easy one that shows is when you always run late. That is, you are out of time, out of the universal time, your alignment with time. It will show up in many other ways, but if you drop things, if you knock into things, and this can grow much bigger, like accidents, you are not exactly aligned in yourself. Let me go back. So when I became aware that at night I am, usually I would travel in current lifetimes, but in a different dimensions, or we also call that past lives. It would take me sometimes a good 30 minutes in the morning to locate back exactly in my body. And what brings you back is your breath, your awareness of your breath, your awareness of your body, your awareness of your soul and spirit in your body. And how do you become aware of those? Your physical body is fairly easy, you would think, right? You can touch yourself. And even then, I would question that when you touch yourself, do you actually feel yourself?
Yeah,
I've met
especially, oh, go ahead.
I've met a lot of people who, when I would ask, what do you feel in your stomach? And like, I don't
Yeah.
know, there's a disconnection, which that's from past traumas. So really feel your body. And then like with the earlier little meditation or awareness, then feel your soul. What does it feel like? What do your thoughts feel like right here in you, in the physical body? What do your emotions feel like in the physical body? And this was a practice. And by the way, I'll insert in here that my latest course that I put out, Releasing Anxiety in One Breath,
Oh,
I have come to that, right? Because anxiety, I mean,
whew.
ah.
That is the talk about being on the hamster wheel and not going anywhere. That is anxiety for me in a nutshell.
Yes, yes. All of us who have experienced anxiety know very well. Like you said, hamster wheel. It is a hamster wheel. It is like, your nervous system being plugged into the electric socket and like, oh, now go live. Okay. How, where am I? Who am I? What am I doing? And this practice made it able for me to release anxiety in one breath. And I do the course about that. So I invite you, I'm going to uh, put the link in the description because it has tremendously helped me. And as I'm sharing this with others, I have now good feedback too from people who didn't even want to listen to meditations in the past. No, that's not my style. I'm just going to take a pill to calm me down, to now coming to, oh, yeah, I am much calmer. And when I woke up the other night in anxiety, I was able to calm myself. And I thought, I'm going to listen to your meditation, but actually I didn't need to because now I have the tools.
Yep.
So it is a tool, it is a practice to learn to feel yourself right here, right now, because
Yep.
that's where your life is.
Absolutely. And to add to that, like when you were explaining how sometimes you're with clients and they're like, well, I can't even feel my stomach. Like dissociation is something that I dealt with a lot. And like there's two different kinds of dissociation. There's derealization, where your life doesn't feel real. So it's like you are watching your life as a third party spectator. So it's like you're watching it as a movie, but you're totally detached. Like you're just kind of a robot in a sense, where it's like you're just like following the motions. And then there's depersonalization, which is like you can look at your hands, you can look at yourself in the mirror, you can like try to feel into your body, and you don't feel like your body doesn't feel like yours. You feel totally disconnected from it. So that's where that's going to help too. There's all sorts of grounding is the key word here to help with dissociation, especially if you're like in a flare up, because that can really trigger a lot of anxiety too when you're not connected to your body, which gives you all of the information on if you're safe or not. So what helped me the most when I was going through therapy for this was tapping into your five senses, like Melinda was saying. So identifying 5 things you can see, 5 things you can touch, 5 things you can smell, 5 things you can hear, 5, if you have it around you, I guess, 5 things you can taste. That one's not as important as the other ones. You can also take like cold showers, and that's just good for anyone. Like if you are feeling emotionally charged, activated, stressed out, even just brain fog, lethargic, a cold shower and ice bath can really solve pretty much all your problems. It also really helps physically, lowers inflammation. But what it does is it brings you back into this present moment, right here, right now. It also is a great releaser. So anything that your body is clenching and holding on to, it's going to let that go. And so what was the last? Oh, earthing too. That one is a practice I do every day, not only to feel more connected to my body and the earth, but to really connect to Mother Earth. And like it's really good again for healing it. The last time I was reading about it, it like releases toxins through the body of your feet, because the earth has I forget if it's negative or positive ions, and we have the opposite of that. So it's like the magnets, where it like draws out any toxins, things of that nature, out from your body back into the earth. So there's like a lot of different benefits. But yeah, if you're someone who's disconnected, dissociates a lot, the first key is going to be of things. And it is treatable. Like you can, I rarely deal, I had both kinds. So I rarely
Your audio is cutting out. Okay. No audio? There. Okay. You're good.
Can you hear me?
Yes. You can put it
Okay.
back.
Oh, okay.
It says that the internet connection is unstable.
Sorry, what?
That the internet connection is unstable. It's okay. We're wrapping it up anyway.
Yeah, I would say we're wrapping it up. The universe is like, all right. The universe always does this to us. Whenever
Yes.
it's saying like, because I think it knows we would just talk all day long otherwise.
Yes, yes. Actually, that's what I was gonna say to wrap it up, because we'll leave something for the following episodes, because we could sit here and talk until the next 8 hours on this.
This is what inspired this series, is because we would just sit here and talk for hours, and we'd be like, man, there was so much gold in that, we should record it. So this is how this got inspired to start, because Melinda and I love to talk to each other, and we just channel so much when we do. So yes, I feel like we covered a lot today anyways, like
yes,
quite just good stuff in there. So
yes,
yeah.
And let us know, you who are listening, this is made for you. This is in the intention for us to share the knowledge that we have come to, because we feel that it was so helpful for us, and the people that we talk to, it's very helpful for them. So let us know how this landed for you. And we're excited to keep doing this, keep putting out more information.
Yeah. And
check out the descriptions. Please subscribe and and hit the bell notification, so you know when we come back again.
Yes, and we're all doing this together. Like we love sharing information and helping people up level into their most magical, authentic expressions, while also wanting to build a community and a soul family. So no matter where you're at in your spiritual journey, we are all here doing it together, and we will continue to learn and grow together. So also, if there are things that came up for you that we were talking about that maybe we just didn't pick up on today, add it down below too. Let's start a conversation. Let's add on to this, because there's really, what I love about the infinite potential is the reason we're all so unique is because there's one universal truth and infinite pathways to that universal truth. So what me and Melinda pick up on is going to be one beautiful area, and y'all are going to pick up on so much other stuff that we all can collaborate with together. So add your own knowledge, goals,